Hello, and welcome back once again to RPG Quest, the podcast where we do not play D&D. And we are currently deep in the midst of a scenario of Call of Cthulhu. My name is Chris. I'm your host, your keeper for this scenario. But of course, the real star of the show is our player, Detective Jack Cassidy, aka Brendan, aka Panda. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, ready to see how all this ends.
Yeah, it's been a wild couple of days for our hero, Detective Jack Cassidy.
Hey, he's falling apart.
He's fallen apart. Last time we left Jack Cassidy, he was sort of clambering through the swamps and forests back towards civilization, back towards the swamp communities out on the bayou, after being bitten several times by venomous snakes, and after... I don't think you were shot, or really too damaged beyond that. Correct?
I don't think I was shot.
No.
I remember the other detective was shot. I was certainly shot at.
Claude Lamont was shot in the stomach before being carried off into the night sky by some kind of strange summoned alien creature. But yeah, the snakes are what got you.
Yeah, multiple snake bites.
So as you sort of clambered back towards the communities, Jack Cassidy collapsed, passing out from his injuries and also from a combination, I guess, of not having slept for a few days, as he is fearing the dreams that he might have of the Yellow King in the city of Carcosa. So, with that in mind, Jack Cassidy, you begin to come to, and you find yourself once more, not in your home, not in a bed even, standing at the foot of this great lake. It's night, and this time the yellow fog that was previously creeping in is now almost completely engulfing you. You can make out through the fog some figures surrounding you. They appear to be swamp folk, night folk. One of them wearing, of course, a top hat that you recognize. You can recognize the silhouette. But there's another, perhaps a little more unfamiliar, a man, white-skinned, grey-haired, draped in white robes with gold trim. And as he moves through the fog, he doesn't even notice that you're there, but you catch a glimpse of his face, and he is wearing a white, pallid mask.
Oof.
They don't seem to notice you as these swamp folk begin to chant in unison, some kind of ritual. And the robed figure walks past you and out into the lake until he's ankle deep, knee deep. And as you look out, you see something in the water, something moving, something large. And as the cultists continue to chant their ritual, the lake itself kind of swells and the ground actually trembles beneath you. And black buildings and towers begin to rise from the earth itself. And all of a sudden you find yourself, still by this lake, but it appears that you're now on the outskirts of some kind of alien city at the edge of a lake. The lake is much larger than what it was just moments ago. The night sky is sort of dull and ashy grey, and within it there are these black stars that shine in very unfamiliar configurations that do not remind you of the night sky of Earth. This is, well, having read the play, The King in Yellow, reminds you of the descriptions of Lake Harley in the Hyades, and perhaps this city, these buildings and towers that are rising out, they must be Carcosa.
You say the figures passed by, taking no notice of Jack. If he reaches out and try to grab one, is he able to?
Yeah, you can begin to move closer to them, of course, yeah. As you you're going to, just sort of rush over towards the cultists and towards the lake?
Yeah. I'm assuming the other familiar silhouette was Papa Screech.
You can make out his silhouette just through the fog of a skinny man with a top hat and these cultists standing by the lake, a few feet away. Buildings now behind you.
Yeah, I think considering like the last thing basically before Jack passed out was chasing Papa Screech. Even in a dream, he's gonna charge towards Papa Screech.
Yeah. You begin to charge towards Papa Screech as they stand on the shore of this lake, through the fog, away from the buildings towards this lake. And as you do, you hear shrieking and flapping as more of these creatures, these insect-like birds are kind of flapping around above your head. And as you get closer to the lake, running up, closing the distance, this large thing, this luminous white monster, sort of moves in the water. And as you get closer, its large tentacles crash out from the water, striking the ground. And as you get closer, this creature crushes several of the night folk beneath its slimy mass. As you get closer, give me a dodge roll, please.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a 45 versus 30, a failure.
One of these tentacles slap you down as you collapse backwards onto the ground, stuck under the weight of it. And you can just basically watch what happens as this large white monster moves closer to the shore. And it stops just yards from the man standing in this water, this figure in the robe and white mask. And the dripping tendrils of this monster reach out. More of these tendrils reach out and wrap him entirely. And the luminous white colouring of this strange monster, with its tentacles still pinning you to the ground, begins to fade as it tightens its grip around this man. And then in that moment, it begins to wither and then collapse in on itself. And it slides back down into the shore, into the depths of the lake. Its tentacles unwrap from around the man and they begin to slide off of you, releasing you now. And as you look up, this man, by all means, should have been, pulped by this thing. But instead, his form stands mostly unchanged and intact, but pale now, white and almost strangely luminous. And he turns around and faces you. And at this point, everyone turns around and notices you. And they all draw blades.
I mean, I think Jack would, reach for, the pistol he always has on him, but it's a dream, so maybe he doesn't,
Your pistol's there, by your side.
Yeah, I mean, if they've all noticed me, I don't think he's probably laser focused, and with this one central, now, starting to kind of glow, I think he just fires all cylinders into it, screaming.
Yeah, you just begin to unload on this creature, and it stands there raising its arms, and the bullets just move in and out of it as though this thing is incorporeal almost. Even though it looks solid, the bullets just pass through. And the cultists that have drawn their blades, they don't actually step any closer. From within the fog that's engulfing you all, these figures somewhere, you don't know where, they draw bodies. Men, women, children, still alive, crying out. You can hear the screams and the cries. And in unison, very casually, these cultists slit the throats of these bodies and just let them drop to the grassy earth. Ritual sacrifices. And you see this pallid, masked, robed figure almost floating a few feet off the earth, begin to move towards you. After you just unloaded your gun clicks out and it closes in and it just reaches down its hands and begins to choke you.
Yeah.
And you wake up.
wake up screaming. You know, that whole, you know, like really big, you know, gasp for air when you first wake up from a bad dream.
Yeah, you wake up gasping. You're feeling sore all over. You're sweating. You can feel like the heavy, muggy, humid air assault you. There's a thin sheet covering you, stuck to your skin, drenched. And the light is shining in, the afternoon light. It's harsh on your eyes. You feel completely sore all over and still sort of pains in your stomach. And you see a figure, blurry, move closer to you and just go, shh, 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 and place a damp cloth on your head and push you back down to lie down.
I mean, considering everything, Jack is probably just immediately raving to them, you know, about the dream and about what's coming, you know.
Yeah, you try and get some words off as this figure, this elderly woman you now recognize as Granny Goodrow, pushes you down with this cool damp cloth on your head and just continues to say, shh, shh. And then you hear a man's voice in the corner of the room. You recognize it as one of the people that live here that you met before, the gentleman. He says, just calm down. You were bitten by a copperhead. Bitten many times, so just lie down. Don't try to get up too quickly now.
Yeah. Thank you. Where am I?
You hear just like the creaking of wood and the sound of wind chimes outside. He says, this is Granny Goodrow's house. We found you crawling out the swamps, bites in your arms. You're not doing well. You've been out now for a couple of days. You probably need to eat something. Do you think you could keep it down?
Yeah, a couple of days. What day is it?
It's Friday.
Friday. It like, you know, you can almost see the wheels turning as he, you know, Jack slowly sits up and tries to, really, I guess, get a hold of himself. And he has calmed down up to this point, but once he hears Friday, like, oh, fuck the party, you know? So I think at that point he will probably overexert himself trying to get up. Friday, I have to go.
You see Granny Goodrow still standing over you, just like, again, just says shh and tries to push you back down. This figure says, this man in the corner says, hold on now, you gotta eat something. And he picks up like a little sort of metal camping plate and brings it over to you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for, well, I mean, saving my life, it would seem.
Well, thank Granny for that one.
Yeah, I mean, Jack will turn and look at Granny, and, you know, try to smile at her, not in like any of in the past, every time he smiled, it's like because he's trying to portray something or, you know, get one over on somebody. But I think this is probably, in the entirety of our game, the first time Jack's like genuinely, you know, tried to smile. And it's like a pained thing, like probably it looks more sad than actually happy.
She smiles, you know, back at you. The sort of white blue from cataracts eyes. You know, big smile, big face, and you know, sort of points down to the beans, sort of gesturing to eat that have been placed on your lap. And in this moment, you realise you're being completely stripped, except for your underwear. Your left arm, where you were bitten, bandaged from these snakes. But as you look down at your right hand, you see that your fingertips, fading up into your hand, are blackened from the hand that touched Papa Screech. They're a little darkened around the fingertips and fingers.
Yeah, I had forgotten about that. I think seeing that probably shocks him for just a minute, but he'll just accept it. Like, it's just a part of life now. So he starts, you know, eating the rice and beans. Likely slowly at first, and then, you know, ravenously. And for sake of, you know, not having a horrible recording, I'm not going to talk like my mouth is full. But he, you know, he'll kind of take a minute, thank them again and like look at Granny and be like, I don't have much, but however I can repay you, name it, I'll make it happen. You saved my life. Thank you.
You see the gentleman says something to her in a mix of sort of French and Spanish, and then she sort of nods and then sort of whispers back, and the guy shakes his head and says, No. If you can rid this place of those evil men, that's all we ask for. And I feel like you done that, right?
Well, I've done I want to say my best. Certainly some of them, I intend to take out the lot. Or, die trying, essentially. End up as I have, but I'll take down as many as I can with me.
He turns to Granny Goodrow, who's at this point picking up your clothes and putting them down, folded up on the foot of your bed. You see that you're still wearing this Gris, this protection talisman. He turns to Granny Goodrow and says something again in another language, and she's tidying up after you, nods, and she moves a little closer to you and points to the talisman around your neck.
Yeah, I think Jack, instinctually reaches for it and pats it against his chest.
Yeah. I won't part with this. I'll keep it close.
And she nods, and you see that she moves over into another part of the room and begins pulling out a few different things. First of all, it's been a few days, so you're going to recover some hit points just from natural rest, but Granny Goodrow has also been attending to your wounds while you're there. So 3 days, so 3d3 plus 3, if you'd like to roll that.
All right, yeah. 3d3 plus 3 ended up as 11.
Oh, wow. So your hit points are fully recovered.
I'm back to max.
Beautiful. You've been asleep for several days, so you're feeling a little sore and queasy maybe, but you're fully healed. Yeah. You see that she begins to you hear this clattering and this moving going on in the other corner of the room, and this gentleman, this larger man, moves closer to block Granny Goodrow from view, and he stands there and he puts his hand on your shoulder and he's like, just wait one moment, please. And blocks Granny Goodrow from view as you hear this clamoring, and then you hear this mortar and pestle come out, and then this smoke, and you smell these smells. This goes on for a few minutes. And after a while, Granny Goodrow finally steps over and gestures for this man to move and begins rubbing something all over your chest. It's kind of like a balm paste that she begins rubbing as she chants. And then she dips her thumb in it and draws a little line down the top of your head as well. And then steps back and gives you a sort of sad-looking smile. Roll me a d6.
Oh, that's a 3.
A 3. I'm not sure what Jack makes of this. This is a bit of metagaming here. But you have 3 points of armor. So this will soak any damage that you take from here.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure how to... Let's say he just feels really confident. Something about it. He, as now somebody who does truly believe in, the occult, I think he believes what she has done will work to some extent, so it might just be pure confidence.
Yeah. Yeah, so Jack genuinely feels like something has happened here. You feel good. Okay. You can put on your character sheet. There should be a little section for armor.
Yeah, there is under combat.
Ah, wonderful. Yeah, if you turn on edit mode, you can add those 3 points of armor in value. The armor type is just for... Yeah, it's for all damage, including magical damage. So, yeah, and after this ritual is performed, Granny Goodrow just gives you a nod and moves into the other part of the room, allowing you to get dressed and get out of bed. Get ready to head out into the afternoon.
Yeah, Jack will get dressed quickly, having finished his plate of beans. And I think when he first stands up, he expects to be, like, barely able to move. But with, the great care Granny's given him, and again, probably that, that spell, he feels surprisingly good. Better than he has in days. He might even attribute that to, actually sleeping.
You maybe feel a little stiff, but yeah, you feel good.
Yeah. Once he's dressed, I'll play it out, and if I'm crossing a preparation line here, let me know. I think you'll know where I'm going with it almost right away. But Jack will look at, probably not Granny, the other guy who's in the room, who I feel like I knew their name at some point, but I've forgotten. And say, y'all have done more for me than I can repay. But if I could ask one more favor, I know y'all are farming out here. You got any fertilizer? Maybe a couple Coke bottles?
Give me a luck roll.
53 versus 18, that's a fail.
He says, it's mostly animal manure. I could probably find you some chicken fertilizer or something, but it's probably not going to be much.
No, that's all right. I'm not sure that'll work. But thank you anyway.
And Jack, gives up the hopes of making a bomb.
He says chicken poo's the best kind of fertilizer.
Oh, I'm sure it does an amazing job for growing crops, but I was looking for something with ammonia in it. Something a little more explosive.
Oh, I'm afraid not. We might have a couple bottles of moonshine.
Oh. Yeah.
Immediately Jack's like, I'm gonna get drunk. But shakes it off and is like, no. I need supplies.
No, well, I wouldn't want to take too much from you, but if you're willing to part with a bottle or two, that would certainly do it.
He nods and, comes back with 3 about pint-sized, I don't know, what do Americans use? What's about half a liter in American measurements?
It would be about a pint. Anytime I bought moonshine, it's been in a mason jar, so about a
it's a mason jar of about, which is about 500 mils. I don't know what that is to ounces. Is that like 15 ounces or something? About whatever Americans use. He brings out 3 of those little mason jars full of this white moonshine.
I just tuck those away if I have a small bag or something. Have a grit at it. Do that thing where you shake it real fast to see how many bubbles are out, see if it properly reacts. I'm like, this is some good shine.
It's not bad stuff, yeah.
Well, thank you again. I don't know if I'll see you again, but I'll certainly get this done. And listen, 2 detectives now have vanished in this swamp. So I imagine some cops might come around if they haven't already. And look, tell them everything. They might think you're crazy, but tell them everything.
He nods and says, I trust you, Mr. Cassidy, so I will tell them everything.
Yeah, I think Jack assumes that tell them everything is going to end up with it being, okay, Jack Cassidy's a serial killer. Because that would certainly be one way to interpret that. But I don't think it matters to him. It's ending this is more important.
He was the one who also spoke to you about how he was convinced that there are still these night folk out there, by the lake, and that they're up to no good. So the fact that you would do anything to stop them, I think he's very much on your side. As Jack Cassidy heads out to the car, give me another luck roll, please.
That is a 60 versus 18, a failure.
You hop in. It's hot, it's muggy. You stick to the seats. You put the keys in to start. You're not sure if it's the humidity or the fact that you're out of gas or that it's just been sitting here for so long in the swampy air. But it just sounds like it's flooded and the car doesn't start.
Yeah. How far are we from town? I assume pretty far.
Walking, it would probably take you 2 to 3 hours. So you would get there just after sunset if you were to walk.
I think he probably rifles around his pockets to check to see if he has any cash on him. It's not Jack's car. This is like, if it's his own car, he would just like, he's feeling pretty fatalistic. I think he would just give the keys, to the folks who have helped him. But it's not his car, so I guess we'll ask if they can give him a ride in town, and he'll obviously pay for gas, take care of that, and he'll have a tow company come out to pick up the car, bring it back to the office.
Yeah, you recall that the person you were talking to did have a phone, so you'd used it before.
Oh,
so
I'll just call.
He allows you in to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you could call for a cab as well.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, but I had forgotten they had a phone. Yeah, Jack will thank him for use of the phone and call the towing company.
Yeah, he called the towing company. He says, I can give you a lift into town. And as he goes to show you around to his ride, once you call the towing company, give them the address, sort that all out, give them where to send the bill back to your place in New Orleans. He leads you around to his ride, and of course it's not a car. He has a mare, riding horse.
Nice.
Probably a Morgan, actually.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, I think Jack kind of just grins at that. I'm sure he's ridden horses before. He kind of grins at that and he's like, yeah, all right. Appreciate that. What's her name? Like, pats the horse on their flank.
Cheval.
Good name.
It means horse in French.
Well, that's creative. Good name, though.
Yeah. I mean, Sousa. All right. He, jumps on and with an arm lifts you up to jump onto the back.
Yeah.
As you put your arms around his waist.
And suddenly this turns into a sordid romance novel.
Yeah, the setting sun as you gallop into town. It's beautiful. The swampy lands turning into lush forests. All the nightlife at dusk. The rabbits running home, all the squirrels, all the birds heading back to their nests. It's beautiful. Where are you getting our friend to take you?
Yeah, see, that's a good question. Yeah. Jack's definitely not trying to go home. He's not going to go to the police station. But I mean, it's Friday, so he's panicking that he has to get to that party. And man, he's going to show up a wreck, but that's fine.
It's probably going to be about 6 p.m. by the time you make it back. You might have enough time to just get back to the apartment and freshen up before heading to Randall Fowler's place.
Yeah, I think he'd go back to the apartment then, because if it was like a couple hours he'd be there, he wouldn't chance it. But if it's like a quick drop in, yeah, back to the apartment.
Yeah, I mean, you have to get off the horse anyway by the time you get to the town, because this is the final day pretty much of Mardis Gras. There's parades everywhere. So a few people, drunken people out on the streets, although, even though that's illegal, are crowding around the horse, being like, hey! And, jeering at you and cheering at you. And it gets to the point where you need to dismount and walk the rest of the way. Your friend wishes you luck before he turns and hightails it back to the swamp communities, leaving you to walk the rest of the way through the loud festivities in the streets back to Edroy and your apartment.
Yeah, especially with like 2 different encounters so far with like random creepy stuff happening when Jackson crowds. I think even just that walk back is very uncomfortable for him. Like he's probably incredibly paranoid, and looking over his shoulder constantly.
Of course, yeah.
Just trying to blend through the thickest part of the crowd.
Yeah. I would say this would be the perfect moment to again see more people acting out scenes from this play. And as you turn to look, you recognize these lines from The King in Yellow. And as you turn to look and blink and look again, they're just having a normal conversation. I'm not going to ask for a sanity roll because by this point you know that you're losing it.
Yeah.
And you know that these are hallucinations.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reaction to it. Like, he does stop for a minute and listen. It shakes it off and literally just assumes you're fucking losing it, Jack. You're losing it. And just keep walking.
You get back to the apartment, have a moment of, moment to yourself to catch your breath, to freshen up, to do what needs to be done, and I guess center yourself and figure out a game plan for this masquerade.
Yeah, I think the first thing he does, obviously other than washing up a bit, probably changing suits to that second suit that he has since he only has two. But I think the first thing he does of any, substance is sit down, take out all of the notes he has, everything he's compiled, and grab a manila envelope, seal it all together, and quickly write a note for Ed Roy. That's, that classic, if I have died, here's why, here's who to look for, and everything I've learned, because I've already sent copies of everything to to Charlie Sundstrom at paper. Put it in the gun safe. Yeah. Trying to think, maybe he puts it under something, so if somebody tosses the apartment, they won't immediately see it, but that Ed would know where it's at. But yeah, put it in the gun safe, along with the keys to the car.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think beyond that, he probably goes back and forth mentally on how he's going to approach this party. And certainly a couple days ago, it would have been as simple as just walking in and seeing if you can get people to talk. But now, he's sure horrible things are going to happen. And I mean, he's determined to take down Screech, pretty much at all cost, but not at such a high cost that a lot of innocent people will die. So once he has the thought of, I'll just burn the whole place down, he shakes that off. No, I'm as bad as them if I do that.
There's going to be a lot of people at this masquerade, yeah.
Yeah. So, probably drinks a little bit of that moonshine, but prepares them like Molotovs like he had before in case everything goes to hell. Reloads his pistol.
Of course.
Make sure he has the, strong knife. Pocket knife, not like a cleaver or anything, just his pocket knife. And gets ready to head out. And the mask. I hope he still has the mask, but if it was lost in his run through the swamp at the end, or Granny didn't want it in her house, I would accept that. That would make sense.
Yeah. You still have the mask. You still have the mask on you. You would have had a little, I imagine, a little messenger bag with your things in it. Something like that. So yeah, of course, you have the pallid mask with you as well.
Yeah. This is an odd one. No, I don't think he'd have that. I was gonna say I assume he's got some kind of costume cape or hood or something, so he can have the bag on him and it not be immediately noticeable. But thinking about it, there's no reason he would have that. Surely I might have something like that in my house for Comic-Con, but not Jack.
You could give me a luck roll. See if Ed Roy has something along the lines of a cape.
Oh, that's a 15 versus 18, a success.
As you look through, you find it must be from a previous Mardis Gras. Part of a different costume, some cheap masks and this long velvety cape.
Yeah.
Looks like a tacky kind of magician's cape, but it'll do the trick.
Yeah, I think he grins and takes a minute. Why does he have this? Well, I'm glad I've got it. And I'll toss it on. Before he heads out, the minute he's out the door, he's going to be wearing that mask and cape the whole time.
Of course. And you make your way through the streets in the direction of Randall Fowler's home. You have the invitation in hand, bag hidden under the cloak, under the cape, ready to go.
Yeah. Trying to remember what fake name I used before. Jameson Avery.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, I had to look at my notes. Like, what name did I use? I don't think he's gonna try to do the whole accent and shit. I don't think he even has the energy, for disguise like he did early on.
Yeah, of course.
But Will introduce himself at the door.
So it's probably about 8 p.m. by the time you get to Fowler's mansion. You see there are plenty of cars parked in the area and out on the streets. There are people lingering in the garden, and there are hosts/guards checking people's invitations and taking people's coats as they enter in. Immediately you clock that these guards look like Screech's men as well.
Oh, I mean, was that very accommodating fellow who I got in the fight with? Is he there? Since you mentioned the cards,
not outside immediately as you see people enter in. You see they're all costumed as well, wearing masks. The theme is actually Alice in Wonderland, so you see a few people in top hats, a few Mad Hatters, lots of Alices, that kind of thing. As the first of many costume guests are arriving now at about 8 o'clock. The party has clearly started, so with your invitation in hand, you have no problem shuffling your way in.
I mean, this is probably just a total lead to nothing red herring. But is anyone dressed like a white rabbit?
Give me a spot hidden. As you begin to make your way into the party, you see lots of people. They all look wealthy and important. They're all mingling. There's catering, there's drinks around, prohibition be damned. There's punch, there's cocktails. It's definitely the place to be.
It's an 88 versus 50. I fail.
88 versus 50. You move in through the garden, kind of looking around at people and into the actual foyer of this grand mansion. There are a few people dressed as white rabbits. There's only so many costume options available for an Alice in Wonderland theme. So there's plenty of rabbit masks around. None of the people stand out to you as anyone you know or recognize.
Okay. Can I do like an intelligence check or something to see if Jack would have put together bits from the dreams and like his very brief glimpse at Fowler and stuff like that? I feel like as a player that's fine, but maybe Jack is not. He doesn't have all the same knowledge I do.
Yeah, give me an intelligence roll.
95 versus 70. That's a fail. Jack is not. Yeah, a lot of it, I guess he's still not sure if any of its bits are actually memory or bits that he thinks he's putting together from a dream. So kind of drops that, and we'll just start looking for more guards,
Yeah. I will give you this, though. You did see the back of Fowler's head one time in the warehouse that evening when you confronted Papa Screech. You didn't see his face, so you don't know what he looks like, but you saw the back of his head. You know he's tall, thin, grey-haired, sort of curly hair, not balding. So you do look around the party trying to find someone like that. And you're not sure, but that dream with the robed figure and the masked figure did look... There were similarities in appearance. You caught the back of his head, you caught the back of Fowler's head in person. So those clues are kind of beginning to merge together, and it's making sense. But you don't see Fowler anywhere. You see that there are plenty of these guards, though, upstairs, blocking all the rooms that aren't the main foyer area where people are partying and congregating. No sign of Screech or Fowler.
I'm running through like, three different scenarios in my head of like a quick way he can get upstairs. And man, today I just woke up and chose violence. Like every option I'm coming to is that I don't want to do anything yet. I think he just goes and gets himself a drink and tries to mingle a little bit, but the point is to keep watching the room, see if anyone he has met before kind of wanders through.
Of course, yeah. You grab a drink and scope out the area. There's also a pathway leading out to the back garden of Fowler's house as well, so you have time to grab a drink and wander down in that direction as you head out the back into... There's like a pillared porch and then a back garden, and there's a Dixieland band playing out there. There's plenty of people here. There must be more than 100 guests filling this area, the front garden and the back. The wait staff are not masked, so you recognize that all of them, as well as the guards, look to be Fowler's men. Not Fowler's men. They look to be Papa Screech's men. They're all the same. Broad, large.
Rough and ready, yeah.
Rough and ready. A lot of them, I guess, kind of Caribbean pirate-looking sort of folk. Big, broad, dark-skinned, rough. They don't look like they fit in. They don't look like the kind of people someone would normally hire for an event like this. You overhear a bit of conversation, people talking about how the warehouse was burned down and how their float was ruined and all that sort of stuff, and I guess crime in this city. It's awful. It's absolutely awful. Someone else says it must have been one of the other jealous parade organizers or something like that. There's all this sort of talk about all the events that have been going on recently, but everyone's excited.
Overhearing, the thing about the float being burnt down, Jack will kind of smile to himself, but he will stop at some point and rudely interject into somebody's conversation, like, well, I heard that Fowler did it all himself to collect on insurance money. Things aren't looking too good around here, from what I hear. And then just wander off,
Amazing. Give me a spot hidden as you're scoping the area.
Oh yeah, 11 versus 50. That's a hard success.
Hard success. You notice two people that you recognize. The first, because you were specifically looking out for March Hare costumes, you see a few March Hares, and you see this skinny little figure hanging out by himself, looking suspicious in a little March Hare's outfit. And you're not sure, based on the mask, but his frame, his size, he has wire glasses on the outside of the mask, and you see the brown cropped hair behind. It looks like Francois Avedon.
Oh, didn't expect that. Oh, man. I feel like Jack's immediate impulse is to go check on him, but then he's just gonna hold back.
As you're debating whether or not to do that, you see a short man, very beautifully dressed, wearing a little mask. You can make out the mustache, the slick back hair, with a tall, beautiful woman on his arm, walk in. The colourful suit. He's wearing the Mad Hatter's top hat, is, of course, none other than Dennis Bouchard.
Alright, so, again, like the immediate inclination, because the last I saw, he was losing it for Francois, rather, I should say, was losing it, so I'm probably amazed that he's here. And I'm tempted to talk to Bouchard, because he did invite me. But again, I don't think he has the wherewithal to keep up that disguise that he did a couple days ago. I'm just trying to decide which one he keeps sight of.
I'm going to roll to see if Dennis Bouchard notices you. But that's a 78. He does not notice you. He's busy. He's got this tall beauty in red on his arm, and he's busy showing her off and walking around talking to important people.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thankfully, he didn't notice me. Jack is gonna keep an eye on him, track him through the party best he can. But yeah, not get close enough that he'll spot him.
Sorry, is this Avedon or is this Bouchard?
Bouchard. Avedon, whether or not Avedon is probably who I should be talking to, I don't think Jack would want to. I think he would just be amazed he's here, and it would make him more paranoid, if anything. So stick with who he knew would be here and who he knows is wrapped up in all of it, and, follow him around, essentially, blending into the crowd.
Yeah, no problem. You follow Bouchard, you blend into the crowd, you try and stay unnoticed. Give me I'm going to say stealth. It's not stealth, but you're trying not to stand out. And as someone at a party on his own, that's difficult to do.
Yeah. I mean, stealth makes sense. It's like social stealth. That is, a 98 versus 55, a fail.
Yeah. As you're following Bouchard around and you see Francois Avedon out in the garden by himself, drinking, alone, looking nervous, he clocks you and begins to close in.
I mean, knowing that he's not gonna get out of this conversation, I guess Jack, like, kind of gulps hard and tries to put some space between himself and Bouchard so he can go speak with Avedon. Like, he'll probably meet him halfway, but make sure they can't be, like, overheard by Bouchard.
Yeah. You see Bouchard actually leaves his female guest and walks inside into the house as you are stalking him, but you stop and linger in the garden as Avedon closes in to cut you off, and he moves in closely to talk softly. He says, Mr. Cassidy.
Mr. Avedon.
I was hoping you would be here.
Well, I'm surprised to see you here. How are you feeling?
No, I'm fine, I am lucky I have this mask because these symbols, they are everywhere. The king's presence is all around us. And as he mentions that and gestures, you look around, and indeed this house is adorned with all kinds of manner of the yellow sign.
Yeah.
And again, Jack is... I guess we could just assume all of this is fairly quiet, especially in a loud party.
Of course.
They'll get in, fairly close to him.
Look, when we first met, I'm sorry for thinking you were mad. You were right about everything. And you should not be here. Horrible things are going to happen tonight.
Your eyes have been open to the truth. You are correct. Horrible things will happen tonight, but if I don't stop them, who will?
Yeah, well, that's how I feel as well, but what are you going to do?
What am I going to do? Give me a charm or persuade. I'll give you a bonus die on this because the two of you have bonded.
Okay. I'll go with charm. Both fails. First is a 28 versus 15 fail. Second is a 70 versus 15 fail.
No problem. You can either try and push, or you could spend your luck, but yeah, I imagine it's getting pretty low at this point.
Yeah, it's down to 18. I'm gonna reserve that luck for, like, which might be a mistake, but I'm gonna reserve it for, the very last possible moment I think it'll be needed.
Of course.
No, I'll just accept that fail. Whether or not we've bonded, it kind of makes sense. He's not just gonna blab whatever he's doing.
Well, I am willing to do what needs to be done. And he looks around suspiciously and he says, just promise me this. When that fowler shows his face, keep your head down and stay away.
Yeah, all right.
Jack immediately feels uncomfortable.
Okay, you know who Screech is?
It, like, describes Papa Screech to him.
He says, we, as a voodoo man, he is the one behind all of this, but unfortunately, Fowler is too far gone now. There is no saving him. He must be stopped.
Well, then I guess we'll do just fine if you're focused on Fowler. I'm after Screech.
He nods. And he sort of taps you on the shoulder and says, forgive me, I must focus. And he turns to walk away.
Of course.
Does he have a bag or anything on him?
Give me a spot hidden.
99 versus 50, that's a bad fail.
As he moves away and you try and get a look on him, a few people sort of push and bump into you. Someone's like, oh, sorry, my friend. And almost spills a bit of martini on your shirt.
Think nothing of it.
And then as you look back, Avedon's gone.
Oh, man, shit.
So I lost Bouchard and Avedon.
You know Bouchard went inside. You can head inside if you want to try and track Bouchard.
Inside. Yeah. I mean, if I don't see anything else outside right now that's going to draw my attention, going to try to pick up the trail again on Bouchard, see where he went.
Yeah, of course. as you begin to shuffle through the crowd back indoors into the house. Give me either a track or a spot hidden, please.
Now let's do track. I don't think I've rolled track yet this game. That's a 67 versus 45 fail.
Yeah, you step back into the house. There are rooms everywhere. There's a bar on the patio. As you move out, the study and the living room the large dining room appear to be open as well, with bars in them. But there are just costumed revelers everywhere, all dancing, having the time of their lives. So there are a few extra rooms down on this ground floor, but leading upstairs, as you look up, there are definitely guards.
You said that there was a person taking coats, right? So is there like a coat room?
There is, yes.
Okay. Jack is going to go steal a woman's coat. Throw it over his arm.
Moving in from the rear porch, you've got there's the kitchen to your left, where staff are coming and going. There is the study is open, the large dining room is open. There are bars in there. The band is out in the back garden area, and there is a servant standing there directing people to the bathroom, and also putting coats in that back storeroom behind him. But there is a guard right there, taking people's coats and putting them in the storeroom.
Okay. If it's not somewhere he can just sneak in, I guess he's going to walk over to the attendant kind of exhaustedly, and just say, I need my wife's coat. She's had a little bit too much of the festivities. She's not feeling too well. I'm just gonna collect her coat and take her home before she makes a fool of herself. And describes like a gaudy fur coat of some kind, like something that people would think is rich, but probably isn't actually, just very ostentatious. Surely they have at least one coat like
that. He's gonna move in and begin searching for a coat. Is that what you had planned?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he doesn't say anything. He just looks down at you as he towers over you, and he moves into the storeroom and begins fumbling about through the piles of coats in there.
Yeah, I'm literally looking for a prop. Like, Jack is looking for a prop, so he's just gonna wait patiently. If it's more than 20 or so seconds, he is gonna be impatient about it. Like, well, all right, mister, hurry up. We gotta go.
Yeah, you move in as he's going through some more coats. Give me a fast talk, please.
13 versus 70, extreme success.
Yeah, I think you see him going through some and kind of looking at them, and as he picks one up, it looks perfect. You point to it, I imagine, and gesture that that's the one.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and he turns and passes it to you.
Jack will thumb a buck at him. Well, thank you, mister. You have yourself a fine night. For your assistance.
He folds it, pockets it.
She's probably just like, I don't know if it's a good tip or a bad tip for the time. I assume it's a bad tip for the time.
Oh, it's not bad. A buck's pretty good. He folds it up and puts it in his pocket and gives you a nod. This time, actually, like some politeness registers on his face, and he moves back into blocking off the hallway there outside the storeroom.
All right. Take that coat. Toss it over my arm and head towards the stairwell, and try to pick up Jack's drank enough that he knows what a drunk stumble looks like, but kind of pick up a gait as if he's very drunk, and head towards the stairs.
Of course, you begin to stumble upstairs to the upstairs area. No one stops you immediately as you move up to the upper balcony. Because there's a little bit of an area of just windows and a length of balcony. But as you get to the very top of the stairs, you see some of the servants that are up there blocking it off on both the left and right direction. Obviously, this must be where the bedrooms and things like that are. Yet one of the servants, Papa Screech's men, storms towards you. He says, "Well, party's back downstairs."
Get the hell out of my way. Martha, you come out here.
And they just start shouting, almost ignoring the guard trying to push him past him.
Yeah, he grabs you and he's like, "No one's up here." Are you going to try and push past him?
Yeah, and not...
The party's back downstairs.
Not very violently, just as if he doesn't even matter. But absolutely going to try to push past him.
I'd say that's a dexterity against his strength as he's trying to grapple you.
Ooh, 18 versus 16. That's a hard success.
That's just a regular success. He grabs onto you, but you just sort of drunkenly stumble past as you begin moving down the hallway. He's like, "Hey, give me a luck roll, please."
45 versus 18. That's a fail.
You do move past him as he tries to grab onto you. He manages to grab onto the cloak that you're wearing, the cape that you're wearing, and you pull past, but you hear something thud to the ground. I'm going to roll a spot hidden for our friend.
Oh no.
Oh, 87 versus 40. That is a failure. You notice it though. One of the mason jars of your makeshift Molotov cocktails thuds down out of your bag to the ground as he tries to grab onto you and you escape his clutches. It hits the ground just a few feet from you. He's busily distracted by you, trying to grab you and stop you from stumbling around upstairs here.
Okay, hearing that thud, Jack is immediately gonna, oversell a quick stumble, because again, he's acting drunk, and drop the coat on top of the mason jar, and he'd go down, reach down to pick it up.
Excellent. Yeah, you stumble down and scoop up this jacket with the mason jar in it before he notices anything. And he, again, moves and goes to try and grab you, and he says, "The party's downstairs, like I said."
I know where the damn party is, mister. Look for my goddamn wife. I know she's up here. Martha!
Just shouts again.
Probably cavorting with somebody. Was it you?
And just, stares at him.
You see there are...
Why are you hiding my wife?
You see there are more servants now closing in. There are a couple in this hallway, so they're clearly blocking something. And as they move in to close around you, a figure emerges from the door to the northern far end of the hallway, and he begins walking towards you, and of course, it is Papa Screech.
Ah, shit.
As he says, "Now what's going on here?"
Ooh, oh man. I think a smarter Jack would try to weasel out of this and keep up the act. But he's... No, we're all in now. As soon as he sees Screech, he's gonna say, "There's the bastard cavorting with my wife," and charge him. Just rush him. try to break free from this group and rush him.
Yeah, of course. There are a couple around you now, so I'm going to roll for them. Give me a dexterity roll, though, or actually a dodge, I'm going to say.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'm going to use luck on that one. 36 versus 30. Yeah, I guess this is what I've been waiting for my luck. No. So, I will drop that down. My luck is down to 12.
I'm sorry to say this, though, because there are many of them, they're going to roll with a bonus die. So even though you got a success, that is not enough for their hard success. You break free of one of them and move halfway down the hallway, but the others close in and grab you before you reach Papa Screech. They grab you and stop you as you're trying to throw them off. But you get close enough for Papa Screech to see you. And he smiles, and he obviously recognizes the mask from the other night.
Yeah.
And he puts his hand up and takes a few steps closer as he the others kind of holding on to you. They're just holding you in place. They're not throwing you down. They're not going to do anything. But you're within their grasp. And in this moment, he steps a few steps forward and he puts his hand up and he says, "Now, everyone just calm down. I haven't seen your wife, but I'd be happy to help look for her. If that's what you need, Mr.
Yeah, I don't think he's even gonna fucking lie.
Jack Cassidy. I would appreciate that.
Well, Mr. Cassidy, let's take a walk and see if we can find her. And he whistles and does a little gesture with his fingers, and they let you go.
Yeah, I think he, like, you know, kind of that macho thing for just a minute, like brushes off his shoulder, you know, tries to straighten up a bit. We'll just stroll towards Screech.
Let's have a look around.
Yeah, he closes the door behind him. One of the guards moves back down to block it. It looks like the door at the end of the hallway to the master bedroom. And he's going to walk past you and begin walking downstairs. He's actually not going to go downstairs. He's going to walk out to the balcony that overlooks the party, and he's going to lean on the stairs and look out over it.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably an internal fight as Jack is like, fucking throw him over the balcony. No. And slowly walks up and like assumes the same position, stand next to him and lean over the balcony.
Well, alright, let's talk.
He pulls out a cigarette and lights it.
Tonight's the night, huh?
Yeah, and as you say that, he says, takes a drag and says, tonight's the night.
Well, I would say, doesn't have to be. You can stop all this now before a bunch of people get hurt. But I know that don't matter to you. So how about this? Why? I mean, we both know I'm not walking away from this. The least you can do is tell me why.
There are powers in this world beyond what you and I can comprehend. Beings of other worlds. Things that we can't stop. I guess the question is, when they come, which side do you want to be on? The side of the slaves and the dead, or the side of the kings and the rulers?
Well, I don't think that's really a choice, is it? Last time we met, what did I say to you? You know what side I'm on.
It's not too late to change. You can stand right up here beside me. I like you, Mr. Cassidy.
I think that like puts his teeth on edge almost. Like probably he wants to begrudgingly agree, like you're a good adversary, but he's just so like deeply opposed to everything that's happened because of Screech that he, you know, just sets his teeth on edge.
Yeah. How long do we have?
Mr. Fowler will be making his appearance very shortly. Out of the corner of your eye, you can see that more of these guards, these servants, they're keeping their distance, but they're closing in the flanks around you.
I mean, noticing that, I guess... Fuck. Jack will go with that last, like, kind of gambit.
And just say, oh, alright. Listen. I've seen what's to come. It's in my dreams. I know what's real and what's not, and all this is real. So fine. Why don't we stand here together? Wait for Fowler. And usher in the end.
Give me a fast talk.
That's a 58 versus 70 success.
He takes another drag of his tobacco and for the first time looks up at you and makes eye contact. And he says, I'm glad you realize it would be silly to fight this now. Stand here with me and just enjoy what's to come.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I imagine, at least for now, especially with those guards kind of looming nearby, Jack won't make any moves. He's gonna wait until he can see Fowler and, you know, bide his time. I don't think he has a whole lot he can say to Screech in this moment, because he just has so much hate for him that I think he's concerned if he says much more, he's gonna fucking betray his own, you know, his own lie.
Yeah, Papa Screech finishes his cigarette and puts it out in the carpet beneath his snakeskin boot and stomps it out, crushes it into the carpet. And he says, I'll be right back then. And the guards move in a little closer as he begins to step away from you and back towards that bedroom.
Fuck, it's time for it. It's such an internal struggle of like, I really want to see like what's gonna happen, but also being like, no, I have to stop it before it happens. So gonna go with that. I mean, the minute that he turns around, Jack will bust out one of those bottles and light the fuse on it and chuck it at Papa Screech. Like the minute that he turns around. Let's burn this bastard.
Oh fuck, okay. Give me first of all a dex. Oh, how subtle are you trying to be about this as his guards are sort of standing near you?
I think like the initial spin and reaching in his bag, he's trying to look subtle, like, and maybe he even says, "You forgot this." But yeah, once he has the hand in the bag, it's nothing subtle about it. It's just fast.
Seeing you reach into the bag, yeah, give me a sleight of hand as you reach into the bag. I'm going to roll a spot hidden for our friends as well.
23 versus 10, that's a fail. Oh, and I spent that luck, so even if I wanted to, I couldn't push it. Shit.
23 versus 40. The guards, as Papa Screech turns, the guards see you reaching in to pull something out of your bag, and they charge in close to you.
Oh, man.
And you see them charging. They're going to throw some fists. As Papa Screech moves, the first one is going to swing at you. You see the fist coming right for you before you manage to pull this thing out of your bag.
Yeah, I mean, I think he would, try to duck that blow and just keep doing what he's doing. Like he's going to keep trying to get that throw off.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, give me a dodge roll against this fist, please.
24 versus 30. That's a success.
That's a success. This fist looks like it's swinging right towards you, but you duck out of the way and he bangs into his fist collides with the railing along this balcony. The other one closing in is going to swing at you as well. Are you dodging again?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, give me another dodge roll.
Oh, 78 versus 30. That one's a fail.
You are going to take... Oh, that's an extreme success. You're going to take 5 points of damage as this fist, as you duck out of the way of one, the other one collides with the side of your head and you take 5 points of damage as he clocks you directly in the side of the face, and you can actually feel the blood begin to dribble down your chin.
Yeah, I mean...
It is your turn, though.
Feeling like he's been hit by a Mack truck. These guards don't matter. Like, Jack, in this moment, he fully expects he's just going to get the shit beaten out of him, but he's not going to deter from his goal. Like, if he can stop this now, he's going to try to. So completely ignoring the guards who are beating on him, he's going to take that throw.
Yeah, go for it. Give me a throw.
That's a 17 versus 20. Success.
Yeah. You getting clocked in the side of the head, you drop down, but your hand's still in this bag, which is maybe why it was a little harder to dodge. You light the rag sticking out of this jar, and you lob it into the corner of the hallway there. These guys notice it too late. Screech walking around the corner, not even looking back at what's happened. He knows that you're getting the shit kicked out of you. And then it crashes to the floor beneath his feet and bursts into flames. No one's yet noticed what's going on. I'm going to roll a dodge for our friend, Papa Screech. With a penalty, as he wasn't expecting this. 96 versus 45. That is a failure for Papa Screech. He just walks away and this jar collides with the bottom of his shoes. And fire begins to emerge. What is the damage on these Molotovs?
That's a good question. Oh, it's 2d6.
Amazing. Roll 2d6.
I got 2 1s. That's a 2.
It wasn't the best throw.
Damn you, dice.
It wasn't the best throw as you were clocked to the side. So this flame emerges at Papa Screech's feet, and he kicks up his heels and charges down the hallway. Out of your view as the fire goes. You don't know how much, if any, it actually hurt him. But now you're surrounded by these cultists as 2 more move in. I'm going to make a listen roll for our friend, Mr. Avedon, to see if he has heard what is going on. That is a 6 versus 30. Oh, 6 versus 45, sorry. That is an extreme success. As your arm, I imagine, is still slung over the railing of this balcony, as you hurled this fire, you hear voices erupt going, "Ah!" downstairs. So they've heard something. Maybe they've seen the light of the flame begin to burst out. 4 of these cultists squaring off around you. You hear the commotion downstairs. People begin to shout and scream. And as you're looking down over the party, as you look to your left, slunk over this railing, you see the wiry figure wearing this March Hare mask begin to rush upstairs and draw a little Luger pistol. He is going to fire that off at one of the cultists. Oh my god. That's a 10 versus 40. That is a hard success. And it connects directly with his neck. Blood coming out the other side. For 10 points of damage. Incredible. I'm going to roll a con for our friend to see if that is a major wound, to see if he stays up. That is a success. He grabs his neck, this hulking figure, as the bullet escapes the other side, blood pouring down. But he does not go down. It is the cultist's turn. So your turn was just throwing this thing. So again, 2 fists are going to fly out at you. What does Jack Cassidy do?
Just trying to decide if he's gonna. Yeah, no, there's no getting out of this fight now. And for a brief second, I'm like, maybe he's gonna try to roll himself over the balcony and land nicely, but then he can't get back upstairs, so gonna brawl. Gonna see this out, I guess.
Okay. Are you dodging these incoming fists?
Oh, I was gonna fight back.
Oh, you're gonna fight back. Oh no.
Yeah, and it was a fail. 59 versus 35. Fail on a fight back, on a brawl.
All right. Well, the first fist swings towards you for 2 points of damage as it connects with you. Remember, you have your magical armor as well, absorbing some of these.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Is that like a used and gone thing?
It's like a used and gone. It's a soak and then it's gone. So it's essentially like temporary hit points almost.
Okay. I mean, I suppose there's no difference in whether I was like, I'll wait until I have 1 HP, or if I had just used it before. So I think that first hit, I soaked 3 of that damage with the armor, and now it's used.
Great. So you can add those 3 points back to your hit point. Still take this 2 off, but yeah. But yeah, I should have said at the time, as this fist swings out to hit you, this glowing shimmer beams off of you, and you feel protected as he connected with your face. You're like, son of a gun. This actually worked. Another fist, though, is going to swing out at you.
48 versus 35. That's another fail. Jack's not a very good fighter. I don't know why he fights so much. You know?
He's got the fighting spirit.
Yeah. It's because he's always drunk, I guess.
These guys, unfortunately, are very good at brawling. Oh, that is a fail, however, as the second one swings out at you. He misses. The first one knocking you back, the second one misses, and the other two continue to close in. You're now surrounded by 4 cultists, all looking like they're about to beat the shit out of you.
Yeah, I mean, that whole thing about how am I going to get back to the second floor, I guess is about to be a now problem, because being surrounded by 4, I don't think there's a whole lot of option here. At least, like, my thoughts. Either way, I'm probably going to hurt myself, if they don't hurt me more. So, I think Jack is going to try to chuck the second of his third basically Molotovs right at his feet and spin backwards over the balcony as he does, like one motion.
Nice. Incredible. Basically just throw it onto the ground and drop over the balcony.
Yeah.
I'm not going to require a throw for this because you're literally just throwing it at your feet. That's fine. That's easy to do. What I am going to ask for is as you move out of the way of these cultists and throw yourself over the balcony and down onto the ground, I would like I'm going to say it's a dodge roll, please.
Makes sense.
To get out of the way and get down onto the ground safely.
Okay. Oh, God. I'm going to push that. That's a 98 versus 30. And I know it's going to make the consequences worse, but I mean, the consequences are pretty bad either way, so I'm going to push that.
Okay.
And I still failed. 36 versus 30.
Okay. You pull out the second of these Molotov cocktails and hurl it down into the ground in a huge mass of fire. And as you go to jump back over the balcony, over the railing, down into the party below, your cloak gets caught in the railing itself.
Oh, shit.
And you begin to dangle over the edge. You feel it pull on your neck, and you're actually hanging there, choking by this cape as the fire erupts. First of all, roll damage, please, for the Molotov, 2d6.
These Molotovs are horrible. That's 2 1s again. That's a 2.
Are you kidding me?
It's because he was drinking off them, you know. If only he hadn't, drank so much of that shine.
Oh my god. Well, luckily one of them dies. The one that was shot in the neck. The others all only take 2 points of damage. Unfortunately, so does our hero, Jack Cassidy, take 2 points of damage from these explosions. And at this point, everyone has seen what is going on. Gunshots, fire. This is all too much as you hear screams down below.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, I guess, again, hanging from the balcony, choking. I'm not sure what the role for this would be, but Jack is just gonna try to, either quickly unclasp or untie, however it attaches the cloak from himself as he's choking, or, wriggle out of it. I'm not sure. I guess it depends on the design of the cape.
Yeah. First and foremost, Avedon is going to move up the stairs and fire off a second shot. He's going to fire off 2 shots, actually. So the first one, fail. Second one is also a fail as he fires off both of these shots, just blindly into the fire and the smoke, now burning the hallway.
Francois, come on, bro. That first shot was great.
These cultists try to move in towards you, but the fire's now blocking them, so they turn their attention to Francois Avedon, and they are going to move towards him as they charge him. One of them unfortunately, Jack probably doesn't see this, draws a knife.
Oh, man. It's gonna be another person dying trying to help Jack. God damn it.
He swings, and Avedon, that's a 52 versus 45. Avedon dodges out of the way of the knife. Oh, an excellent dodge as well. One of them swings a fist at Avedon. These are the two at the back. That is a success, as Avedon is going to take 4 points of damage as one of these fists connect with his sternum. The other one is a little too far away. These two were lingering at the back. The other one is just going to step back, put his back against the wall, looking down the hallway at the fire towards Screech, looking down where you once were, and looking back at Avedon, kind of trying to figure out what to do. I'm going to roll an intelligence roll for our friend here. Extreme success, a 4 versus 50. He bolts and begins to leg it,
Yeah, smart guy.
like to try and get out of this party. You see and hear him running down the stairs. And now, finally, you can try and untie this cape around your neck as you're there choking.
Yeah, I mean, gasping for air. Yeah, I mean, I guess his fingers fumble.
I will say that in and of itself is not particularly difficult. What's going to be difficult is hitting the ground. So I'm going to ask for, if you're happy to just plonk down for a dexterity roll, please, when you hit the ground.
Yeah, I don't think he'll have the wherewithal or like the time to land nicely, but we can hope that it's not too bad. So, Dex, 71 versus 60. That's a fail.
Oh my goodness. Okay. You take 2 points of damage as when you hit the ground, you hear your ankle kind of crack a little bit, and you feel the pings of pain as you landed not quite right.
Yeah, because he like grunts in pain. But even in like that quick moment of shock, and that like sick feeling you get in your stomach when you might have broken a bone, it like brushes that off and just immediately starts screaming at the top of his lungs, "Fire! Get out! Run for your lives!" Trying to cause like a hardcore panic, or rather trying to encourage the panic that's already ensuing.
Of course. Give me either a fast talk or an intimidate to have a bonus roll, please. Try and get everyone to just leave.
It wasn't meant to be. Fast talk 91 versus 70 is the first fail, and the second is 96 versus 70.
Oh my god. A few people have sort of started to rush out, but everyone's now rushing in to this area from out in the garden to see what's going on as the room begins to crowd up.
Of course they are. This is, it's the event of the summer, or well, I guess winter, Mardi Gras. Oh, man.
So that is Jack Cassidy's turn. I imagine you turn up just in time to see Francois Avedon get punched. He is again going to try and shoot at his assailants as this fire erupts. Oh, amazing. First roll, a fail, 63, but his second roll, with a penalty, even with a penalty, he's still got a 29. He rolled a 28 and 29. So he fires off again blindly, continues firing, and hits another one of these cultists for 8 damage, just enough to take one of the ones closest to him down.
Yeah.
As one of them flees. There is now only one upstairs. However, more are trying to enter into the room. Give me a luck roll.
Okay. 53 versus 12. That's a fail.
The crowd around you thought was offering you some protection from cultists, from these guards from other areas coming in, but you hear a gunshot fire off and people begin to spread. You kind of get what you want as people begin to leave. what it means is you see 2 more cultists entering into the foyer area now.
I mean, again, there's no backing out now, and this will probably help get rid of the last of the people as they see an attempt at murder. Jackson just going to immediately produce his 38 and take a shot at one of the cultists rushing in.
Yeah, do it.
Oh no, 72 versus 35, that's a fail.
You only have 6 in the chamber, but you can fire off more shots, like fan it and get 3 shots off. Of course, each is made with a penalty.
Yeah, maybe he takes 2 shots. We'll toss a second in there and see how that goes.
Yeah, no problem. Roll that one, please, with a penalty as well.
Oh, heartbreaking. The first is an 8 versus 35 hard success, but it has a penalty, so it's 58 versus 35 fail.
Yeah, you fire off 2 shots. So you're down to 4 in the chamber. As 2 of these guys enter the room, it is our cultist friend's turn, which is going to be the first one with the knife is again going to swing out, all his fallen comrades around him, and the other one fleeing straight out the front door is going to try and stab Abaddon. Oh, not doing well. That is a 62 versus 45. That is a failure. The cultists moving into the room now. One of them does have a gun, and he is going to attempt to shoot at Jack Cassidy. You can attempt to dodge, to dive for cover and maybe hide in the crowd, or you can stand your ground as this guy is going to attack you with a revolver.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad leaving Abaddon to his fate, whatever that may be, after he, literally saved me. But yeah, definitely gonna try to dive into the crowd and blend in as people are rushing out.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to make a roll for him. That's going to be made with a penalty. Lucky, that is a 54 versus 35. So that is a failure as he fires at you. As you dive into the crowd, I'm also going to roll to see if he hits anyone in the crowd. He misses as these guys move in. Give me a stealth roll for Jack Cassidy to just see if you can manage to actually blend into the crowd for the time being.
That is a 30 versus 55 success.
Excellent. You blend into the crowd and begin moving the way that they move. Most of them, of course, now shuffling towards the door. The 2 cultists failing to see exactly where you've gone, but they know that they probably missed. Francois is going to fire off another shot at our friend, and that is an extreme success. He's at close range as well. This guy's trying to swing at him with a knife. He dodges out of the way, points the Luger directly in his chest, squeezes, and this cultist upstairs collapses to the ground. The only 2 cultists you can see now are the ones down on your level in the lobby, trying to find you within this crowd. But maybe at that point their attention turns to Abaddon upstairs as he looks ready to charge through the flames and down towards the bedroom. What does Jack Cassidy do?
Yeah, see, this is what I was worried about when I was like, I'm gonna go over the banister, because it's just putting a lot of distance between myself and the target. But it felt like the right thing to do in the moment, regardless of that. Yeah. Gonna go with that last Molotov. And see if I can chuck it somewhere in the room, like towards some like large curtains or something that'll light up to really get, I mean, a third fire started. I'm hoping that it'll finish getting everybody the hell out of here so there's not people to sacrifice.
Okay. Yeah.
Not aiming for a person, just aiming for something flammable.
Yeah. I'm going to say that's pretty easy to do. I'm still going to ask for a throw roll, not to see whether or not you hit, but to see whether or not you can do this whilst keeping low and keeping hidden in this crowd.
Yeah.
So either way, you're going to hit.
No, that's a 65 versus 20. It's a fail. I'm definitely seen doing this.
Yeah. So you do it. You move out, keeping low, and hurl this Molotov towards one of the curtains adorning the wall near the balcony that overlooks this lobby area. But as you hurl it, they make the flames erupt, creating this fire, and the last of the guests begin to scream and move out of the room. These two cultists in the lobby definitely see you. One of them is going to... He is actually the one with the gun. He is going to fire at Francois Avedon because he is so close to making it up into the room with Screech and Fowler. First shot misses. Second shot misses. Third shot misses. You are a war guy.
Oh, yeah.
So you would know that he only has, assuming he's the only one with the gun, one bullet left in the chamber. As Avedon charges through the flames, the other cultist is going to charge you to try and tackle you to the ground. You can still try and dodge out of the way or try and fight back, but that's 17 versus 65, a hard success.
I mean, I'll go for a dodge regardless, but yeah, it's a hard success, so I'm gonna get tackled, but I'll roll it. Why not?
Unless you get a hard success on your dodge.
That's a 3 versus 30 extreme success.
Oh my god. As he shoulder down goes to charge you, this hulking figure is going to connect right with your sternum and tackle you straight to the ground. Somehow, just you see it all in slow motion and you just, keeping low, jump to the left and he falls to the ground next to you.
I mean, yeah, wow, what a dodge. But I mean, Jack's immediately gonna level the revolver on his head and take the shot. Well, probably take multiple shots, but...
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's prone and within point blank range. So make your shot with a bonus die, please, for the first one.
Okay. I'm gonna dedicate myself to taking 2 before I roll, because I don't want to feel like... if I do that after, I feel like I'm cheating, so...
Yeah, no. Bonus for the first one.
Okay, that's a fail. Either way, it's the better of the two was 78 versus 35, still a fail. And the second one...
Yeah, he tries to knock the revolver out of your hand. The second one, just a flat roll.
17 versus 35, hard success on the second one.
Oh my god. Hard success. That is 9 damage. I am going to make a con save for our friend who is... Where do you shoot him?
Oh, right for the head, yeah.
Yep. Right in the head. He's trying to fight back. The first shot just zooms right past his ear and hits the ground. The second shot connects. Oh. And that is a 67 versus 70. As you connect with the side of this guy's head, you see his ear blows off and blood pours out. He has a major wound, of course, but he is not unconscious. That is a 67 versus 70 on his constitution roll. He is prone, but still fighting. Francois Avedon is going to try and jump through the fires. So I'm going to roll a dodge for our friend to see if he takes any damage from the flames. That's an 11. That is a hard success. This is a man on a mission. He's the MVP of this,
yeah, absolutely.
This campaign as Avedon jumps. It's a shame that no one's watching this as he jumps through the flames and, out of view as he charges down the door where Papa Screech and you assume Fowler must be. The other cultist is going to follow as he runs away, following Avedon up the stairs. The one who was unloading his revolver, so he charges upstairs. The one on the ground next to you with his ear blown off is going to pull out a knife, and he is going to swing at Jackson Cassidy. He is, however, on the ground, so I am going to roll this with a penalty. What does Jackson Cassidy do?
I think he just tries to, boot the knife, kick it out of his hand. So I'm going to go with a fight back instead of a dodge.
Okay, give me a brawl. You want one level of success higher than our friend here?
That's a 47 versus 35 fail.
That's a fail, but that's a failure for him as well. He swings the knife. You try and kick it out of his hand. Neither of those things happen. You kick it away from stabbing you, but he does not let go. However, it is now Jackson Cassidy's turn.
Yeah, alright. Again, as I've mentioned a couple times now, Jack is totally insane at this point. So I think he, cocks back the hammer and puts the gun as close as he can to this guy's face, but doesn't pull the trigger. He just says, "Bang! You're dead. And you're born again. Get the fuck out of here."
Give me an intimidate with a bonus die, please, as the fires are now licking at this guy's head.
Oh my god. That's 100 versus 15. That's a horrible fail. And the second roll is a 61 versus 15, a fail.
You can see it in his eyes. He swings out at you. You try and stop him. You point the gun at his head and say these words, and the sanity is not there. You can see the anger in his face. He looks like he's ready to swing out at you again. But of course, I'll give you that as a free action, so you can finish the job with your revolver pointed at him.
Yeah. And thank you. Alright. I want to save one bullet, so I'm just going to roll once.
Okay, he is going to swing his knife out at you. As you try and shoot, you put the revolver point blank against his head.
Oh man, 76 versus 35. That's a fail.
Oh no, you get a bonus because you're point blank. So roll again.
No, it's 72 versus 35. It's still a fail.
You press your revolver against his temple, and you tell him to get the fuck out. And as he stands there, heavily breathing, the hatred in his eyes, he goes to swing his knife at you, and as you fire, he knocks your arm. And your bullet fires off, and then he is going to lunge forward at you with his knife.
Yeah, let's go with fight back. I guess he, pistol knocked to the side. I think Jack just swings back with it to try to clock him across the face with it.
Please. That is a failure for him.
10 versus 35. Hard success.
Oh, incredible. With the butt of your pistol, as he swings his knife out at you, after you miss, you just clock him. Bang! Straight into the temple where you had the revolver pointed. And he collapses back into the hardwood floor, bleeding out now. Very much dead.
Yeah. Poor guy. Jesus. He was just a cultist trying to do his thing, and I've got to wander up here and just murder people. I mean, they were going to do worse, but, anyway. Jack, takes a deep breath, stands, and chases, runs up those stairs, chases after Avedon. I assume there's going to be some rolls here, because he's going to have to jump through those even bigger flames himself. But he will, try to cover his face and arms with that cape as he jumps through the fire.
Yeah. The other cultist following Avedon is still up at the top of the stairs, and he's going to try and fire off his last bullet at Avedon, who is trying to currently break down the door into the bedroom. As the fire laps out at him and the smoke fills the hallway, he misses. That is a 52 versus 35. So as you rush up to the top of the stairs, you can't see if Avedon has made it into the room or not, But standing just at the end of this hallway as the fire, right next to the fires, is this last cultist who just squeezed off a shot.
You know what? Screw this guy. I'm gonna hopefully live to regret this. But Jack is going to, like, use him as a way to get through the fire. Like, he almost football tackles him, but he's not going to try to bring him to the ground. Like, he just charges him from behind and knocks him down to the fire. And if he hits the ground, literally try to, like, step off him.
Yeah, you're trying to shove him down. As you charge, that's going to be a brawl roll for Jackson Cassidy.
Oh, so close. Is that enough? You know what? Yeah, now's the time. We need to get there. I'm going to use the last of my luck, leaving me with 1 point of luck to make that happen.
Oh, so that was a 44 versus 35. You're going to bring that down to a 35?
Yeah, sorry. Yep.
Incredible. Yeah, you see, he's still got his gun out. The fire's lapping at his feet. He's obviously, like, starting to take on some smoke and some burns, but he doesn't care. He just needs to shoot this guy. He fires his last shot. You head down, charge this guy into the fire, and as you crash into him, shoulder barging, so not trying to grapple him and tackle him down, just shove him down. He hits the wall, hits the floor, and falls down into flames. I'm going to roll to see how much damage our friend takes. 5 points of damage. I assume you're not stopping to check out on his welfare. You were just
oh yeah, absolutely
pushing
not.
on through.
Just full speed ahead.
Yeah, give me a. I'm going to say either a dexterity to leap through the flames or a constitution to just brace yourself and try to take as little damage as possible.
I think, the whole last action is he's not being dexterous. Constitution makes the most sense. He's just trying to barrel through. So I'm going to roll con. This is 58 versus 80. That's a success.
That's a success. Yeah, you don't have the cloak on anymore, but just through sheer will of just charging through, the momentum of knocking this guy down and moving through these flames, you come out the other side coughing, but seemingly fine. The door to the bedroom on the other side is open, and as you continue to carry on down into the master bedroom, you get there into the doorway just in time to see our friend Avedon. Don't know how many bullets he has left, but he has his Luger pointed at Fowler. And you see, well, what you assume is Fowler. You see this figure, not wearing the mask at the moment, but wearing this white robe with gold trim. He looks pale, hollow, skinny. The robe itself is muddy and kind of tattered. Kind of like from as though he'd been out in the lake, in the swamps, like that dream you had.
While I was fucking sleeping. How dare I sleep?
And Avedon squeezes off his Luger pistol. And that is a hard success. 16 versus 40 as he shoots right into the sternum of Randall Fowler, who takes 10 points of damage. Max damage.
Go Francois.
Incredible. As Fowler collapses backwards onto the bed and begins bleeding. You get there just in time as you're standing in the doorway. As he fires this off, Papa Screech moves in. This is all happening kind of in unison, and reaches out and grabs Francois. And I think you get flashbacks of kind of knowing exactly what is about to happen.
Oh.
He is going to use all the magic points he can. As he grabs him, you see this blast, this terrifying blast of energy cackling out from him as he grabs in. And you realize when he touched you, it was a warning, because in this moment, he is investing far more magic into this attack. Because Avedon, his flesh begins to blacken and wither, and he collapses.
As this is... that might happen anyway, but as this is all happening at once, I think the minute that I would see Screech, like, whether it was already he'd grabbed him or if he's reaching for him, I would take my last shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe we can save Avedon after all. Or not. We'll see. That's an 18 versus 35 success.
Oh, incredible. 6 points of damage on Papa Screech. I'm going to roll a con roll for our friend, Mr. Screech. That is an 85 versus 55. That is a fail. As Papa Screech holds the arms of Avedon, this cackling energy, his flesh withers and blackens and he collapses to the ground. At the same moment, you charge in and fire off this shot at Papa Screech, getting him straight in the neck, and he collapses to the ground. He hits the floor and begins bleeding out.
Oh, man.
Smoke now filling the room.
I feel like... Yeah, I feel like Jack is torn between whether he wants to, get his knife out and make sure that Screech is dead, or whether he believes he can get Avedon out here. And I think it's that almost relief of, like, we stopped it. Whether we did or not, he's like, we stopped it. And he's just gonna grab Avedon and basically throw him over his shoulder and try to get the fuck out of there. And just be telling him, like, you're okay. We stopped it. You're okay.
There's no response, unfortunately. You don't know whether he's alive or dead, but you grab the body and begin to head out of there. Give me another con roll as you move back through the flames that are now beginning to burn all of this house.
52 versus 80, success.
Yeah, awesome. You lunge, you throw yourself through this fire. You're going to take just 1 point of damage in doing so.
Yeah.
But you, with Avedon, his little body, still wearing the March hare mask over your shoulder.
I don't know why I laughed. This is so sad.
You hurl yourself through the fire and then begin running downstairs as bits of the ceiling of this house are now collapsing. Everyone has fled. There's no one to be seen. Do you go out the front?
I think he tries to get out to the garden.
Out the back?
Go out the back, yeah.
Yeah. You, with this body, rush out the back. It's empty. Everyone's left. You can hear the sounds of people screaming and yelling out the front, and you actually, just in the distance, can make out police sirens as you make it to the back of this garden. Now that it's empty, you can kind of see how sort of miserable and unkempt it is. Maybe the sadness of Fowler's life kind of falling into disrepair over the years sort of comes into view. It was masked by lights and decorations and bands and partygoers, but you see that the hedges are all kind of miserable, that the flowers aren't really blooming, that there are still sort of cobwebs everywhere, and the grass itself is barely mowed. It's depressing.
And as much disrepair as it is, I think Jack will look for a spot that looks maybe a nice tree or something, or like a flowering shrub, whatever's around that looks a little bit, respectable, and bring Avedon there. And this is certainly the point where he just kind of, all the tension breaks loose. And it sounds like Avedon's definitely dead. So he'll lower him to the ground, and, just Jack is just rocking back and forth.
And at first, just talking to him, like, we did it. You stopped it. And then just starts laughing.
As you sit there in the back garden, safe from the smoke and the fire of the building in front of you, you begin to hear movement, footsteps and voices. You actually see the work being done of the fire department coming in to begin putting out this fire. And you hear the sounds of boots and the calls of police as they're making sure that this building is empty and is clear, as they begin heading out also into the back garden.
I think Jack gets a hold of himself for a second and looks down at Abaddon and, almost smiles and is like,
You did well.
Stands up, straightens himself off, and walks towards the police with his hands out as if he's, giving himself up for arrest. He knows what he's done.
This is what I wanted to ask. What is Jack Cassidy's plan here? You know that they saw a madman rush in with a gun and attempt to kill Fowler and Screech. You know that someone started a fire. Does Jack want to give himself up and confess?
There is, that instinctual drive to be like, I can get away with this. I can. But after everything, Jack knows what he's done. And he's not, he certainly snapped, but he's not a bad man, not at heart. And he does believe in, what the law is supposed to be. And I don't think he trusts himself, if he gets away with this, to not cross this line again. So I think, whatever it is in his upbringing or his past, he recognizes, he has become, he has committed the crimes, and it's, so he will give himself up, and he will walk up, again, with his hands out as if he is already cuffed, basically, in front of him, and not even miss a beat. He will start reading his own rights. My name is Detective Jackson Cassidy, and I have the right to remain silent, and leave it at that.
Wow. And maybe we just, as the rain comes in and as this mansion is there smoldering once the fire is put out, maybe we just see Jack Cassidy cuffed, hands behind his back, being placed in the back of a police car and driven off into the night in New Orleans. At best, maybe incarcerated for decades at worst, the death penalty. As things get pieced together about what took place that night and why, one mystery is never solved. The body of Randall Fowler is never found.
Man, what a game! Oh,
Let's do a little, debrief. I know that you've played Call of Cthulhu before, but you're sort of saying that you'd only really played it once. So, with that in mind, what are your thoughts on the system itself?
Oh man. Okay. So, yeah. All right. I basically need to take a second to separate the excellence and enjoyment I experienced through that fucking great story, man, from the system itself. My feelings on the system, personal preference, I think that it allows you to do all the things you want to do. But as a big fan of really minimalistic narrative first games like Fortune in the Dark games, there were times that I was like, and this is a very personal bent. I tend to dislike any system that forces you to roll to hit. Because it ends up changing the narrative, right? So there were moments where it was obvious that this should happen, from your side or mine, but we end up fumbling between this person's been shot in the head, but also it's only this much damage and stuff like that. So that for me is always a turnoff.
And you know what? I think some of that was on me. I could have hand waved a lot of that, and I think it's up to the keeper or the DM or whatever you want to call it to be like, you know what, this person's prone, this person's lying there. You've got the gun on their temple. You just blast and kill them. That was on me. I probably should have just said in those situations, you coup de grace, you execute them.
Well,
you know, I shouldn't have left it like that.
That's being true to the system, though. Like it's, you know, and yeah, it is at any keeper GM's discretion to do that. But like you were being true to the system. Which is why I say like it's a personal critique of the system. And the only thing I encountered that I was like, this could be better. But again, that's nothing to do with your GMing or how you run the game. I thought it was very enjoyable. Just the only critique I have of how I've experienced this was that. And it's just a personal bent, you know. It's a lot of games that do that well, and I think that Cthulhu does do that well. It's just not something I prefer.
And again, it's not meant to be a combat-heavy game. So the fact this ended in a big fight and big firefight is probably quite unusual for a lot of Cthulhu scenarios. Although there are some where you're end up having to fight off hordes of zombies or ghouls and that kind of thing as well. So some are more combat-heavy and some more aren't. Yeah. Depends on the thing, but I'm glad it ended with a bit of action. But yeah, I know what you mean. And it always drags when that happens. It's like, oh, I want to fire at this guy point blank and kill him. Oh, but actually you miss. And that ends up being not fun.
Yeah, well.
So I think, yeah, my suggestion would be just to hand wave it and say, no, of course you execute this guy.
Yeah, again, I think it's this just comes from, as I said, my very personal bent on, like, I just love Forged in the Dark and Powered by the Apocalypse and the way they handle things like that. It's not that you shouldn't, you know, roll to see if something happens. Of course, that's the fun of playing a game. Like, you need to allow for random chance. But it's like paired rolls, like doing roll to hit plus damage is, again, just doesn't really jive with me. And there's moments where you miss that just add excellent tension and, you know, ramp up the scene, and I think that's great. But I don't know, I have the same problem with D&D, where it's like we're in this really tense moment, you know, but we need to, or like from the GM side, it gets incredibly frustrating, right, when you've got a fairly balanced encounter, but that encounter ends up just being like really long and much more challenging than you intended because your players keep missing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not the tension of missing. It's not the tension of not knowing what's going to happen. It's when things get drawn out when the system starts to fail. I agree. It's, you want things to happen quickly. And I agree. That's where I like systems like Forged in the Dark. That's where I like systems like Fate.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think are great because it's not just hit, miss. Like, things always happen. But this is an old school game, so it's always going to have a bit of that element of rolling to hit and rolling damage and HP. And to be honest, I do like having a bit, my personal preference is having a bit of crunch. Sometimes, like, I've played a bit of Forged in the Dark with you, I know. Sometimes I'm a bit like, sometimes I want a bit of crunch. I want to have a bit of like mechanics and tactics
I can
and
see
stuff
that
as well.
Yeah.
So it all depends on personal preference. What do you think about how easy it was as a player to sort of pick up the system and jump straight in and learn? Do you think there was a big learning curve, or was it pretty easy to wrap your head around?
Yeah, like I think as a compliment to this system, it does a really good job of kind of showing you, especially with all of the skills, kind of showing you who you are as a person, right? So I don't think it's too hard to step in and get an array of skills that help you build who you're going to be. And I like that you can do anything, you know, of course. But like it's different than, again, 5e, where you're like, oh no, I'm always going to roll this because this is what I'm good at. I think it encourages you to kind of try a bit of everything, which feels a little bit more natural, even though you're good or bad at it. And I think that really helps build a character. Like, my initial concept of Jack was obviously nowhere near how he turned out, which is just the joy of playing through the character and playing to find out. But I think a lot of it, when I was trying to conceptualize what is he really about, didn't kind of come into any substantial view until we were actually looking at the skills, you know. Okay, he's good at fast talking, but he's not charming, you know, and that I like that about the system. It does a good job of kind of fleshing out some of those gray areas for you.
Yeah. So obviously it's a very different game to D&D. I guess the reason why I wanted to do this as one of the earlier ones to convince people to try it was I think there were a lot of misconceptions around it, like that it's everyone's going to die and go crazy and it's not a lot of fun and you can't do much with it. I think it's quite a versatile system. I think you can do lots of different settings and lots of different styles. It is obviously very horror based, and also you're not really playing super heroic characters. Like you probably there's a huge chance you will die. Maybe I was a little easy on Jack because I didn't want things to end too soon for this podcast. But you also, Francois Avedon rolled amazingly. He really helped you out there.
Yeah, he did.
But I guess, yeah, in making the pitch from 5e to something like this, it's really funny. I saw a Facebook post once in some group, like someone had screenshotted it and shared it. Someone was like, "I'm trying to make a World War II setting, game using 5e." Like where it's all set in World War II. And,
that always makes me crazy. Every time I see that, I'm like, no, there's so many games out there. What are you doing?
And I was like, and I remember, it was like Call of Cthulhu. Call of Cthulhu has like settings during World War II. It's like you can even strip out the horror elements and make it just a straight up kind of thing. I think it's quite a nice versatile system because it's like, basically it's like, you don't need to worry about how... I mean, you could get into the spells and stuff. I know Papa Screech, and they had a few spells, and there was a bit of magic going on. But as a player, you're like, well, what can a human being do? Well, that's what I can do. How does physics work? Well, that's what I can do. In that regard, it's nice and simple. But yeah, do you think you would be able to convince, a 5e player, someone who started on D&D and who's played D&D, to like pick up Call of Cthulhu and give it a go?
Oh, okay. So there's two answers there. Obviously, there's always going to be people who are diehard or married to any system. Doesn't matter. It's 5e or like I'm almost there with Blades. Like I play so much Blades. But like any game is going to have that group that it doesn't matter how good of a pitch you give them. It's what they love. And they're like, this is what I want to play. And I would not try to convince those people because good for them. They found what they love. They want to play it. Enjoy it. But for people who have played a lot of 5e, but maybe have not played other things. I was having a conversation with a friend a couple weeks ago, and it ended up with a fairly decent comparison. And I stand by this. Like, I think this is in my opinion, the best way to put it. 5e is McDonald's, right? Like, it's not bad. It's accessible. You can find it absolutely everywhere, and everyone knows about it, right? So if you want a burger, I mean, there's certainly worse burgers, and there's better burgers. But consistently you're always going to get that same burger, and you can always get it. And that's 5e. But I'm not going to go to McDonald's for Indian food, So sometimes if you have a taste for curry or sushi, you're like, okay, well, I don't want McDonald's to make curry. It's not going to be good. Like, it'll still have that McDonald's flavor, I guess, and branding, and that's comforting. But it's not going to be good curry, probably, not to shame McDonald's. But yeah, I think that all of us at some point or another, you're going to want another meal. You're going to want a different flavor if you enjoy the hobby. And trying to force yourself to have McDonald's flavored, curry is not ideal. So I think kind of from that comparison, when people are saying like, oh, I love role-playing, especially role-playing with games like this, or I'm seeking this kind of power fantasy that's a little bit different. Or maybe I want a powerless fantasy where I'm a very normal human being against elder gods. I don't think it's a hard pitch to be like, look, the mechanics are a little easier. There's way less rules. Why not try this? And if you don't like it, you don't like it. But it's different, I don't think games like this should ever be seen as trying to compete with 5e.
No.
They do something different. They provide something different. And so I think if people have that mindset, like, oh, I'm just going to try a different meal tonight, they would be willing to jump in.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. And thank you for the reviews. And thank you for playing. And of course, we are going to be back again with a couple more adventures, a couple more scenarios, I guess, to just show off the versatility of the system. Whereas this is more of an investigative mystery. I think the next one that I'm going to run for you will be a bit more of a classic survival horror, which is going to be a lot of fun. So that will be coming to everyone very shortly. And we'll have a bit of a bigger cast as well. So really looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, exciting. I also look forward to that. And also I just want to say, again, thank you for running this game. It's been a pleasure to be involved with this. It's just absolutely excellent. So much fun.
Well, yeah, thanks for playing. That is it for this scenario, for this little adventure on RPG Quest. And I look forward to playing some more Call of Cthulhu with you again soon.
Yeah, see you guys next time.
Bye.